The map.
Okay, we're good. Okay, I'll call the meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals to order. The purpose for our hearing today is application Z250091. The applicant is TPE Illinois MH681 LLC. They're requested for a conditional use permit to allow for a commercial solar energy facility. There are two PIN numbers associated with this request. They are 1409-300-005 and 1409-300-006. The property consists of approximately 74 acres and is located on the east side of South Crystal Lake Road, approximately 1/4 mile south of the intersection of Mason Hill Road and South Crystal Lake Road in Nunda Township, Illinois. At this time, I'll have the Zoning Board of Appeals members introduce themselves and the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township. Mary Donner, Greenwood Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kustra in Alden Township.
Vicki Gardner, Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Bill Karnick, Grafton Township.
This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from a newspaper is dated October 7, 2025, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of posting was signed and the date posted was October 3, 2025, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of mailing was signed and the date mailed was October 3, 2025, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The survey has been checked against the petition legal notice and publication in the newspaper, and all three match. Filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation has been received. The McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. For further information, please refer to NRI 25079-4740. For anyone not familiar with this hearing process, the petitioner will present their evidence. They'll be asked questions by the board and by staff. Then if any member of the public has a question for the petitioner regarding their testimony, they'll have 3 minutes to ask questions of them. When that's finished, then staff will give their report, their testimony to the board, and we can ask questions of staff. And then when that's over, if a member of the public wants to make a comment, you have an opportunity to do that as well. And that's 3 minutes. So it's a quasi-judicial hearing. Rules of evidence apply, so anyone who's giving testimony will be sworn in. So anybody who will be testifying today or asking a question, I would ask you to raise your right hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you give today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, we'll turn it over to the petitioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to you and members of the board. It's good to be with you again. My name is Kyle Barry. I'm with the law firm of McGuire Woods, and I'm here today representing the applicant, which is seeking a conditional use permit for a 4.99 megawatt commercial solar energy facility that falls into the category of a community solar facility. Now, some of you might recognize or have some familiarity with the site plan that's well, I see a couple copies on the table in front of you. I was here last November, I think, seeking, for the same applicant, seeking a permit for, I believe that project was known as MH680, and it's situated right next door to this one. And that one was approved by the board pursuant to a positive recommendation in the ZBA. So I'll let my client explain why we're back. I don't think it was anticipated at the time that there would be two projects here, but I think a lot of that was driven by the landowner, and as it turns out, they were interested in pursuing a second project on the adjacent site. This site is a little closer to Crystal Lake Road than the project that was permitted last year, earlier this year, but it's still, I think, about 500 or 600 feet from the road, and it's also located for the most part, away from any residences, with one exception, which I'll let some of the witnesses talk about. And to that extent, then, at this time, I would invite and introduce Gloria Foxman, who's the project developer for Turning Point Energy, to initiate taking us through a PowerPoint presentation.
Thanks, Kyle. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here before you again. I'll try to use this effectively. You've seen me, you've seen my company before you many times, so I'll try to be efficient with your time. We did attempt to design this project with consideration for the neighborhood and the neighbors as far back from the road as we possibly could, and with additional vegetative screening. That's one of the principles that guides how we build, which is outlined on this slide. I've also outlined the benefits to McHenry County, which is also outlined in the narrative in the form of local job creation, savings for residents who subscribe to the community solar through ComEd, new tax revenue, reduced greenhouse gas emissions, and then increased grid resiliency because of the upgrades that we are required to do when we interconnect, as well as improved soil health because of the pollinators that we propose to plant on the site. I'm also highlighting here that we give back for each project that we successfully permit, and these are some images of organizations to whom we gave back on the top, and then school children visiting the project on the bottom. Here's some more logos of community organizations to whom we've donated. And then this is an overview to situate the project site in the larger community. You can see this is, perhaps you can interpret this, but this is southwest of McHenry. You can see it's surrounded by agricultural land on the north and east. There's a golf course to the south, and then some residences to the west, but we are set back as far from the road as we can be. And then my colleague, or my contractor, civil engineer from Kimley Horn will go more into the planting plan, but I just wanted to highlight we're happy to be able to comply with the Illinois Solar Pollinator Scorecard and plant native pollinator friendly plants underneath the array. And then we also have some examples here of the screening that we are proposing, of a similar type of screening that we are proposing to employ here. So I wanted to point out, and Catherine will get into this more, but the proposed screening for MH680, the previously permitted project, is already up close to the road. So in our narrative, we tried to highlight that if for some reason MH680 is not built, this project will still build that screening that we're behind. And then we're also adding additional screening to the south and east. I'm sorry, west. So how would a solar farm be as a neighbor? We included this in the narrative, but just some highlights here. No emissions. We included a glare study that showed no glare for long-term traffic, no water or sewer usage, the screening that I just mentioned, the improved soil health, and then compliance with Illinois noise standards.
And Gloria, if I could just jump in here, I know
Yes.
Catherine's going to cover this, but the screening that's already required for the previously permitted project, do you know the details of that, or is that something that Catherine should speak to? I mean, in other words, that screening is going to be located where?
It's along Crystal Lake Road.
Okay.
On the west side of the project. We situated it closer to the road because it's at a higher point, so we can provide better screening there. Sometimes we might put it closer to the fence. We're obviously,
Do you have a map where you could show where that project is?
well,
Or will it be later?
it's gonna, yeah, I won't do that, thank you. I will let Catherine go into that because she's next. But if there's any more questions about the screening where I can jump in, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, so yeah, then next up we have Catherine Carlson from Kimley Horn, who helped design the project and do a lot of the studies associated with the project, including the wetland delineation, and which is, as you'll see from the site plan, there is a wetland feature that the project has designed around on this parcel. So it's not, it's not a super flat, super dry parcel in terms of for agricultural purposes.
Yeah, like Kyle said, that wetland features on the west
side of the site. So you have your vegetative screening that's proposed from the previously permitted project all the way to the west. That's that green line along the road. And then right kind of next to it is where the large wetland is with its 100-foot buffer. And then we also have a couple of ephemeral streams in there that have their respective buffers that we've designed around as well, so that there should be, no impacts within the buffers or within those streams or wetland features.
And Catherine, in terms of the screening along Crystal Lake Road, do you know, can you tell us a little bit about what that's going to consist of?
I sure can.
And I might be jumping ahead here, but.
Just a smidge. I do want to just hop to this next slide real quick. This has both the previously permitted project and then this 680 plan, 681 plan. So the 681 is shown darker, and then the lighter version directly next to it as you continue to go east is right next to it. So they are, oh, that's perfect. Thank you. So they're right next to each other. They're going to utilize the same, so the access point, the access drive that goes all the way to the previously permitted project is going to be used also for 681. So there does not need to be another entrance point. There doesn't need to be any more disturbance. It'll just kind of stub off of that previously proposed road to get to that centrally located equipment pad.
And this question is for both of you. Was the screening, what was the reason why the screening was placed along the road and not, closer to the other project? It wasn't because you planned on building a second project here, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Why was can you explain again why the screening was placed next to the road for a project that was farther away?
So the road is at the highest point. Everything drains basically from the road towards the east, towards that floodplain boundary. So the screening being right next to the road, closer to the cars, provides more screening there than if we were to move it further down the hill where you could see over the screening.
So in other words, the screening along Crystal Lake Road was determined to be the most adequate spot
Yes.
for screening the previously permitted project, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and again, that was, when that was discussed for MH 680, it was 10 months ago or so, so quite a while ago, and I'm sure you've had plenty of other solar projects to consider between then, but that was the reason to put it there versus somewhere in the middle of the field.
Correct.
Kyle, if I may, I also wanted to highlight that between when we turned in this application and today, we received some feedback from ComEd.
From the utility.
So we're actually, this that you're seeing and what we have to introduce as an exhibit is very slightly different because of the position of where the interconnection is. It's very, very, very similar, but it is slightly shifted down south.
The only change is that access road going
Yeah.
to 680 has also, because it got the same comments from the utility, to fit the utility poles between, there's an easement running along that northern line, to fit the utility poles in between the road and that easement, the road needed to shift down. So the intent is still for both projects to use the same road, same access point. The only difference from what's printed there is the road is like 10 feet south.
So to be clear and to summarize, we have an updated site plan that makes some slight changes based on feedback that's required by ComEd to move some of the
Their poles.
poles. And we'd like to submit that at this time and ask to be, the revised updated site plan, and ask it to be entered into evidence.
Do that.
Thank you.
And this is the same plan that is in the presentation. So
And this is the one that was approved, or that is dated September 30th or something, I believe?
Oh, that's a great date. This is more than.
The one that Gloria is passing out, I think is revised as of this week.
Yeah, the
The
21st.
21st.
We
Second
just
revision.
got this feedback.
Yes.
So we thought, let's hurry up and get this ready so we can show it to you. I know it's difficult to see. We can also send it via email. But you're also looking at it on.
It's impossible.
Oh my gosh.
It is what's on the screen too.
Need the magnifying glass.
The negative magnifying.
lights are on.
So in relation to the one that we have in front of us from the first revision, how much farther south are the poles?
The poles are about 10 feet south. The poles and the road itself. And that has been changed on, as we're going towards potential construction drawings for MH680. So they will be matching in terms of that road construction, so that we
Is that the only change?
Yes. That is the only change.
So bottom line is poles will be moved about 10 feet to the south, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's the only change.
Yes.
And the road.
And the road,
And the road.
yes,
So,
yes,
thank you.
yes, poles and the road, yes. All right. So then the other, in addition to that, to get to the screening and what's shown in the screening, in addition to that screening that MH680 proposed right along the road, we also have we're proposing additional screening to, like, directly adjacent to the fence in this case. And Gloria, I'll let you speak to why that's there in a second. So that's adjacent to the fence on the southern portion of the site, so it runs along the western edge of those panels and then all along the south to provide extra screening there, where the MH680 screening wouldn't cover the whole site. And that, we've added that simply just to be a good neighbor.
Does anyone have any objection to Kim turning the lights back on?
No.
I want to be able to see the green. It's really hard to see the
Sure,
green
sure.
against the gray.
Yes.
Okay.
So in this slide, the light green, that's all the way over to the west, that's the previously permitted landscape buffer, and then we have the dark, it looks like squiggles, I promise they're tiny trees that go along the west and south there on the bottom. This is the same type of buffer spacing, same type of planting, same type of everything that was proposed with the previous project. It's those trees that are staggered to provide the most buffering possible. And it's about 30 feet wide. So it'll have the same, this site and both projects, will have the same type of seed mix, the same type of plant schedules, everything will match along so that it will all grow according to the site, and it'll match all of the standards and everything.
Now, Gloria, you had said you'd added some screening to be good neighbors. Can you refer to that screening that you were
You
talking?
can even go up and point it out to us. If you
Does
do
this
that,
have a
I think
pointer on
it
it?
would
It does,
be-
there's a little red
Yeah, that would be-
laser.
I think given my arm length, the pointer might be better. So this is the screening from the previous project. This is the additional screening that we're adding. This is beyond what's required in the ordinance. We added it simply because we thought it would be desirable.
But, so one additional question I had was, there aren't many houses near the site with one exception.
So we have the neighbor here, and the landowner for these parcels has a relationship with this neighbor. And so when this landowner wanted to do this additional project after MH680 was already permitted, he came to an agreement with this neighbor where this neighbor is buying some additional property and leasing some additional property so that they have everything they would need. And then we also just wanted to put some additional landscaping there as a courtesy.
So as far as you know, the residents, the owners of the residents to the west and the south here, they don't object to the project.
That's my understanding, yes.
They've worked it out with the
With the landowner, yes, who they know.
Much better than I could. And I'll give this back to you. Perfect. Any other buffer questions before? All right. So I'm sure some of these slides, we've been here before, so I will try to kind of go through, but the main benefit of these types of projects is that there's the deep-rooted vegetation, so we are taking things from the agricultural fields where there's a little bit less absorption, there's more runoff things, it's bare earth most of the time, to these native pollinators and
grass meadow type vegetation, so it absorbs more, there's less runoff, less erosion. The main focus of the types of seeds that are picked and plantings and things are that they are that deep rooted, so it can kind of rest. So the ground cover is one of the biggest pros on here, just that there are plants that grow under the panels. Again, these are your tracking type of panels, so they will rotate throughout the day. They will not have a drip line. They will not be consistent at a certain point. So the plants do grow under them and they very solidly establish from there. We included in the permit package the decommissioning plan. That is typical to the ordinance and to all of the requirements from the AMA and the county. We also prepared a noise analysis, and when we were going through setting up this site, we went through and focused on making sure that the equipment pad and the electrical equipment was all going to be centralized so that there was less concern over any type of noise. As you can see here, the noise contours, those are those colors, the yellow, red, blue, all of those are the above the normal noise limits that you would expect to hear from any type of house, whatever. So it is very centrally located. Any neighbors should not have any type of disturbance from the noise. The equipment pad is over 1,000 feet from the nearest residential building, so it is as far away as we can get it from there.
So just to tie this off then.
Yeah.
According to the noise study and the noise contours shown on this map, is it anticipated that noise will extend, let's say noise of any significant volume will extend beyond the property line?
No, not during operation. And then environmental-wise, as Kyle alluded earlier, we did do wetland delineation. We also pulled together an environmental constraint study that walks through wetlands, NRCS soils data, public waterways, the 100-year floodplain, which is evidenced on the eastern portion of the site, all the topographic data, cultural resources, endangered species. With that, the wetland delineation, we did a field delineation and completed that report in September of this year. And it identified that large agricultural wetland that we've talked about in the western portion, those 4 ephemeral streams over there. Again, we were staying out of all of those and their buffers, so no anticipated impacts from the project, and it will not impact the floodplain.
So no panels will be sited on that one agricultural wetland, correct? You've designed around that wetland, and then what about the streams and the other farmed wetland?
Correct, nothing, we are avoiding those and their buffers. We also did consultation with IDNR, the EcoCat. They concluded that there are unlikely to have any adverse effects to any of the protected species. There are no federally listed species that are anticipated to be impacted. Mostly we are avoiding impacts to wetlands and any thick wooded areas where those types of species typically have their habitat. So nothing is anticipated. We also coordinated with SHPO in September, and they noted that there are no known historic properties in the proposed project area, so no further action is required with SHPO.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. So before we move on to the last brief witness, I have a couple questions for you, Gloria.
Yes.
First one is, would it have been possible, or would you have had the knowledge, would TPE have had the knowledge when the application for the previously approved project was submitted that another project might be possible on this site?
No.
So why not? Why is this, what explains the timing of doing that project last year and this project this year?
So that project was with another person who works for my company. His name's Bill. I don't know if you would remember him, but it wasn't me. And at that time, this landowner wanted to use those acres farthest away from the road and then keep the acres closest to the road for his future use. So we only had interconnection for that one project. We were only moving forward with that project. And then, as sometimes happens, more interconnection availability opened up. And this landowner decided that, hey, can we do another project right here? Initially, we had to see if we could with the wetlands and everything, and see if it would work out. And once it became apparent that it would, I was assigned to this new project. But at that time, we had no knowledge that there would be another project on the site.
So at the time, the landowner was not interested in a second project, correct?
That's correct.
And later he became interested?
Indeed.
Okay, thank you. So last witness is Andrew Hardigan. He has 2 slides, and Andrew's with Cohen-Resnick. And why don't you give a brief background about yourself, and then go through your...
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Hardigan. I'm an MAI appraiser with Cohen-Resnick. I've been practicing for over...
Can you tell us what an MIA?
Basically, it's the PhD in real estate appraising,
Thank you.
designated via the Appraisal Institute.
Is it the highest designation that an appraiser can have?
Yes. So I've been practicing for over 25 years in 30 plus states thus far. And today, obviously, I'm coming to you once again. I've presented in front of you before this presentation, so I just want to highlight a couple things and be, brief.
Wait a second, just to be clear, did Cohen-Resnick did a property values impact study, correct?
We've done impact studies on several properties, but I believe we provided a general impact study for this particular application.
And that was included in the, as far as you know, was that included in the application materials as Appendix L?
That's my understanding, yes.
Thank you.
So I would like to start and say that our 3-tiered approach to come to our conclusions, we find no negative consistent impact to property value when adjacent to commercial solar farms. Our 3-tier approach is, very simple. One of those is we try to review all of the published academic studies. We try to get in touch, obviously, with the authors so we can better understand those studies. The second tier is we try to talk to brokers, assessors, anybody that is kind of boots on the ground that has firsthand knowledge of properties adjacent to these solar farms. And the third is we conduct our own paired sales analysis reports, which this particular slide discusses a little bit. We've done, over 40 of them throughout the United States, including Illinois. And as I had said, looking at all 3 of those different approaches to understanding the impact to property value, we find no negative consistent impact to property value.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes the applicant's presentation for today, and we look forward to any questions the board or any others may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with questions on my right. Mr. Koenig.
Just a few questions. Along with the studies that were submitted, you conducted a glare analysis. Am I correct that the panels rotate along the north-south axis and goes from east to west?
Correct.
It was determined that there was no negative glare impact on the properties to the west, is my understanding, or on any properties.
Properties surrounding the array and roadways. They also studied points along the road.
Correct. Could you just briefly address the positive tax impact? Because I didn't see that up here.
I'm going to go back to the slide.
You don't have to, just what's the general qualitative or quantitative amount of tax increase as a result of the rezoning of this property?
Sure. There's a formula that we're provided with for the valuation of the addition of the project to the parcels, how much that will increase, and then the project LLC pays that tax amount over the lifetime of the project. If I remember correctly, the total over the proposed lifetime is over $850,000 in this additional taxes over 40 years.
And as far as the construction, the jobs, what kind of additional jobs are we going to see from people, for people in the area?
Well, there will be construction jobs if this is approved and goes forward, you know, all the permitting, not just the discretionary permitting. So we include an approximation here that's 50 to 75 jobs. I think it's over 12 to 18 months.
I saw on page 4, I guess this is for Ms. Carlson. Did you do this this wetland study?
Our environmental scientist did, yes.
You did not do it.
I, as the engineer, did not do it, but our company did it, yes. I am familiar with it,
You're familiar with it?
very familiar with it, yes,
Okay, so I just got a few questions.
yes.
One on, do you have page 4 of your report there handy?
I do not,
Okay, well,
unfortunately.
page 4 said they described the property as consisting of wetland, streams, and trees, and said, we don't see any impact on wetlands and streams. It didn't mention trees. We're going to see some trees being taken down.
The, yeah, if you could go back to the,
Yeah, I'm gonna use my little pointer if I can.
yeah.
That would be on actually on the document, not on your study, but on the overall presentation and narrative. Do you have page 4, the narrative up there?
We don't have the narrative on the
No.
slides.
Just to answer the trees question, the well-established dense vegetation that is over, which the wetland delineation report was mentioning, is what's over that large wetland and those buffers. So that vegetation that's well-established and that is gonna remain. We are gonna be taking out, I think it's three trees that are kind of in the central portion there that are not next to the streams or the wetland or anything. They're kind of just by themselves in the field right there. So I think total it was about 0.17 acres of tree clearing, and it's just that little strip right there.
It's in red on your site plan.
Yes, that's that red plotted in the middle.
I'm sorry. The county standard or the ordinance that applies to this says that the property or that the project shall be so situated on the property so as to minimize impact on wetlands. There are two wetlands identified here, correct? Not just the big one on the far left.
Yes. There is, wait, where's the, sorry,
It's the little red.
the red.
I mean, the wetland
Yes.
delineation says there's a wetland 2 and a wetland 1.
Yes, there is a small one that was running in a ditch that is, since the delineation is done and the survey has come back, is no longer there. So that is not, that it no longer exists. And then we have this continuation over here where we have the panels kind of cut out. Apologies, I have very steady hands.
Well,
This piece, we have, this piece of the wetland we have avoided. There are no panels in it, there are no buffers in it, and then there are a few streams surrounding this large one. So there are no impacts to existing wetlands.
well, the question I have is, I'm looking here at the drawing, and I see what's called existing center line of ditch typical, right in the
Yes,
middle of that.
yes.
That is stream 2,
I believe, yes,
and that stream 2 continues to flow to the east,
yes,
essentially down the center of the property.
yes. It does go to, there are a couple existing culverts, and there was an existing, farm access at some point, that was running along there. So there was a ditch and extension right there. That is no longer there. It is unrelated. In our recent site visits has not been there, as in the last few weeks. So that has since, yeah, it's not there anymore. So that is not, we're not considering that.
What do you mean, what do you mean it's not there anymore?
The road is not there anymore.
I'm not talking about a road, I'm talking about stream
Yes, so-
two and wetland
The
two.
stream is, yes, the stream is there. The stream is there.
And wetland two isn't it in the center of the stream?
Yeah, the center line of the ditch angle is pointing right here, which goes over and we're excluding from the panel.
What I'm reading here from the delineation,
Yes.
it seems to me that some of the panels are over stream two and also over wetland two.
They are not over the stream though.
Well,
Yes, please.
Okay.
let me just look at your report.
Yeah, there's some blue lines here, I think they're
Right.
blue, and I think that's what he's asking about, and there are panels over them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there's no longer a ditch there?
The ditch is a little to the west where there's a lighter blue line. That still exists, yes.
Look here, I've got your wetland delineation, which was prepared in September of 2025. That's a month ago.
The field work was done in April. The
Okay,
report
but-
was finalized in September.
In
Yes,
September, a month ago.
yes.
And I'm looking at page 7 of the wetland delineation, and it describes the streams, the ephemeral streams.
Right.
May I interject, sir? Just from a permitting perspective, I think this may help. It is confusing when you look at the delineation, because it all goes in a line, like you're saying, on this east-west way. There's this big, huge wetland here, then there's this ephemeral stream here. These are both jurisdictional wetlands. Then there's this little tiny,
Non-jurisdictional wetlands.
these are jurisdictional, this one isn't. This
What do you
little
say?
tiny finger here is a farmed wetland. It's identified as an existing farmed wetland, which we have, the reason I'm saying from a permitting perspective, we've already submitted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for a no permit required letter to be able to put panels right there over that additional non-jurisdictional finger of a tiny remaining wetland. So we have received that back. They have said, you're right, this is not a jurisdictional wetland. It's okay for you to impact that ever so slightly with the racking for the panels.
Okay,
so
wait,
could
wait, wait. You're talking about the federal government. I'm talking about our ordinance. So let's put the federal government aside. Because in your report, you say that the two wetlands, one wetland is 3.4 acres. That's, I assume, the big one that you're around over there.
Correct.
In your report, which was prepared, which was finalized a month ago, refers to a second wetland that's 0.11 acres in size.
Yes, that's.
I'm gonna do my,
Isn't some of the array over that wetland?
no is my answer to you, no. Even though they look very similar, if you look on the delineation, there's a difference. This goes to here, and then this continues. This is a non-jurisdictional farmed wetland. Even though they look similar and they appear to proceed from each other, this is wetland 2, and this is the non-jurisdictional farmed wetland for which we already have the NPR. So I know that they look similar, but if you look really close, right, you can come up here if you want
It's a
to.
different circle.
It's a different wetland.
Okay, so you're telling me that that's wetland 2, that section right there,
And then this is a separate thing.
okay.
When you say it's a farmed wetland, are there crops on it, or were there crops on it?
Correct. Yes. I'm gonna just move backwards now.
Thank you.
I'm confused. So wetland 2 is essentially a finger of wetland 1?
I mean, please feel free to chime in, they relate to each other. You know, the water doesn't observe the boundaries that we put on the delineation. All I was trying to point out is that even though these proceed naturally from each other, this right here is classified differently and is separate from this right here. There is if you look closely, there is a boundary there.
Okay, when you say what's separate here, that's under, what is that number, 13.7?
Yes.
what's under the number 13.7 typical that's shown there?
That's that farmed agricultural, what you were just
Yeah.
pointing at.
And, you know, maybe you could come and take a look at my drawing.
Yeah, sure.
This is the drawing that was, your drawing that was dated in September 29 of 2005.
Well,
It's just, what I'm looking at, it's something that's visible here, but it's not visible, too visible over there. See right over here?
Yes, this is what she's mentioning. This is the jurisdictional stream and wetland area, and then this is what currently has crops over it and is a farmed.
Okay, wait a minute, wait. I'm confused.
Let's go-
Let me just,
Yeah, sorry.
you keep talking about jurisdictional area. Your report talks about non-jurisdictional areas. I assume non-jurisdictional area means it's not subject to federal regulation,
That's my understanding.
because that's called USACE non-jurisdictional.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so you're telling me there's another type of definition of non-jurisdictional? Well, you're saying that this little blue area that's under the array, you see what I'm pointing at?
I do see what you're pointing at.
Right
yes.
by 13.7 typical, right under there.
Yes.
What the heck is that?
It is an area that, at the time of the delineation, had some hydric soils, but is currently planted with crops.
And that is not,
Whereas the rest of this is actively wet and has standing water in it.
But also, he's asking questions on the delineation, so can you just break down again what the wetlands that are identified in the delineation are, and then what this is called in your delineation? Maybe that would help.
If I misspoke about which was jurisdictional, I could have. you know.
No, you didn't.
So this is wetland 1, right?
Yes,
This is wetland 2,
yes.
and then this is something else.
Wetland 2 and the ephemeral streams, yes. are
Just,
very-
let's start with the wet.
Yes.
Wetland 1, wetland 2, and this is something else, right?
I believe so. I don't.
It's
have
it's got a,
the
it's a separate box,
It
and it's
is,
a different color, I think.
yes.
Okay. So this is and he wants to know, and we should be able to answer this.
Yes.
What is this, and what is this called in your report?
Do you have the report up tonight?
Do you want me to pull it?
well, what I have is I have a figure of your report.
Yes, that would be helpful, yes.
Okay, and this is figure 3, okay? And it shows a light green area, and in the center of it is a darker blue area that's called PEM1C.
Can you
Yes.
hold up just a little bit, because Kim's bringing it up on the big
Kim's
screen
bringing
for
it
all
Oh,
of us.
perfect.
Which page was it?
A little bit further,
Stop blocking the projector.
right there,
There we go.
Oh, I think it's the
Alright.
next one.
okay?
Can you scroll up just a little bit so we can see the legend that's right up there? Thank
Well,
you.
I'm talking about what's right at the bottom of that. Okay, that's figure, whatever, figure 3, right? Where is wetland 2?
So this study is showing the desktop review, which does not include the field work. So this is showing what we pulled from desktop resources to show the process as we go through. So the blue that's shown in there is pulled from the National Wetland Inventory. And then that lighter blue color that kind of extends over towards there, that is, I think that came from NRCS. So that is what we usually start with, and then that's what is typically a level 1 delineation, and then it proceeds to what this page is with the shots that are taken from the field.
Okay, now I see their wetland 2. If you put an overlay of your array there, it's gonna be covering what's called wetland 2, isn't it?
Yes, you're right.
Okay,
My error was that's stream 2, and the stream 2 is different from wetland 2.
okay.
That's all I was trying to say, I just used the
Okay,
wrong
so
word.
bottom line is a portion of the array is gonna be over wetland 2,
Correct, you're right.
and a portion of the array is over stream 2.
No, that's what I was trying to point out, the difference between the two things. I just mixed up the word stream and wetland.
Well, I hate to belabor this, But then when your description of, if you could go back up a couple of pages. Furthermore, to a table.
Which one?
Yeah, further, no, a table, a couple of tables. No, keep going the way you were going. Yep. Okay, one more down. Okay, there's a description of wetland 2. It's located in a ditch in the eastern portion of the study area. It was comprised with catfalls and whatever plants. The wetland collects runoffs from the surrounding landscape and ephemeral stream 2, then drains eastward towards the drain tile. That's the description of wetland 2, correct?
Yes.
Now, if we go up again to the next table, there is a description of ephemeral stream 2. It's located in the central western portion of the property and collects drains from streams 1, 3, 4, and 5, and wetland 1. So wetland 1 drains into the stream 2. And then the stream drained to the east to wetland 2. The stream had banks 3 feet, 4 feet high, low flowing water, comprised of running rocks. Now stream 2 then continues on to the east, does it not?
Stream 2 turns into wetland 2. They are different features. So the stream stops and has a teeny bit of overlap with wetland 2.
Okay,
Well, do you mind if I ask a question?
not at all.
Okay, under the regulatory status, it says this tributary does not classify as RPW or TNW. Can you explain those terms to us, please? It's county regulated, but it says non-jurisdictional, and you know, there's just those terms there.
Yeah, those are, and I apologize, I don't know off the top of my head what exactly those acronyms mean, but it essentially, each of these features has been run through the, McHenry County has a few extra types of classifications, and so that wetland 1, I believe, is it located in one of those items that we had pulled up. It's large enough and it's located so that it requires a different buffer from the rest of them. So essentially what this is saying is we have confirmed that all of these streams don't require any of the additional classifications.
And that's contained in the stormwater management ordinance.
Yes.
I don't know the significance or not. If you could go down up there. Wetland 1 is described as the classification in the third column, PEM 1B.
Yes.
The picture calls it PEM 1C.
So that initial picture is the desktop. So the desktop is essentially replaced by whatever is classified in the field. So the field governs. It is just showing this was the starting point. This is what we were aware of. We went out in the field. We checked what the desktop area, basically using that as a starting point when you go out to the site. The desktop with the National Wetland Inventory and the NRCS inventory gives you kind of an idea, and you start there and you start taking your points and your samples and checking everything, and then it's like you start unraveling and you follow it to the edges from there. So the coordinate classification that's listed in here is based off of what we found in the field, which will basically overwrite what was shown in that first figure.
Out of curiosity, what's the difference between PEM 1B and 1C?
I would have to ask the environmental scientist, yeah. But this does list in the first column here to answer those couple of acronyms. It lists out that TNW is traditionally navigable water, and then RPW is relatively permanent water. So
One last question.
yes.
I probably beat a dead horse. I'm looking at, probably for you, ma'am, looking at page 5 of your narrative. and it says, Level 2 wetland delineation has been completed, identified 2 wetlands and 5 ephemeral streams within the study area, all non-jurisdictional. It says the project is anticipated to avoid these areas. Anticipated is a word I don't like. I mean, will it avoid these areas?
I think through the conversation that we've had today, we see that it avoids the vast majority of those areas. And then the easternmost non-jurisdictional farmed wetland, it has very minimal impacts with only the racking for the panels.
Okay. And then what I see here is it says, the project will apply for a site development permit to account for any development activities that may occur within the McHenry County required wetland buffers if necessary. It says, please see Appendix K. I couldn't find Appendix K.
That's referring to the delineation from the list?
I don't know. Yeah, it's on page 5 of your narrative.
Yes, no, included with the narrative is a list of appendices, and the wetland delineation is in Appendix K, so you've been looking at Appendix K.
Just can you tell me what Appendix K is?
It's the wetland delineation that you've been referring to.
What's on the screen?
Oh, for
Yes.
additional okay. Finally, I see here that a buffer around wetland 1 is 100 feet all the way around. Where did the 100 feet come from?
So that came from it's not discussed in there. There was, it is I should have put the acronym in here and I didn't. But it came from the county standards that it was in one of the databases as needing a larger buffer.
Okay.
So that one was provided.
Mr. Schnabel.
I have nothing to ask this time.
Ms. Garten.
I just have a few easy, I hope. Is Turning Point a developer, or will you be owning and operating, constructing all of that as well?
We are a developer, and then we partner with investors to own and operate.
Okay. What kind of outreach was done in the area for people to learn more about this?
So in addition to the required mailing and sign that was put up in coordination with the zoning staff, we did our own mailing. I called, I didn't get through to anyone, but someone on my team produced a list of numbers that I could try, and then I door knocked the neighboring parcels.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I knocked on the doors of the neighboring parcels.
Okay, and did you actually get to talk to anybody or not?
I got to speak with one person.
Okay.
She, in a very brief manner.
Okay. Did you talk to anybody at the golf course?
I did not.
Okay. Are you planning on mowing the pollinator plants or using sheep or some other animal to chew them down?
We're not proposing any sheep or animal.
Okay. Are you planning on putting any battery storage on the site?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, has the AMA been signed?
Yes.
And the interconnection agreement with ComEd, where does that stand?
I believe it's signed. I know it was provided to us. I'm not 100% sure if we've actually signed it and sent it back yet, but I believe it's signed.
And does it require you to improve off-site ComEd infrastructure, which will improve resiliency in the area?
I think technically we are paying for ComEd to do it.
Okay,
Yes.
but resiliency will be improved and it will be at your expense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all.
I only have 2 questions, and they're fairly easy. On the site plan, there's this little teeny tiny thing in the middle where it's all of a sudden juts in and juts out. It's in red. Why? What's there? I haven't seen anything. I mean, I just didn't, and I asked and I thought maybe it had something to do with the road, but it's just this little teeny jut out for what appears to be nothing.
There's a notch in the screen.
Yeah, it's just the property line. There's nothing, no structure there. That's the property line.
Okay, well, that'll take care of that. Then there's a section called, when I was reading the wetland report, it says ground-based solar array. What is the difference between a ground-based solar array and what you are doing? Because it says 69.9% of the parcel has limited soils for this type.
You have to say it out loud, Mary.
Oh, so what's the type like?
Yeah.
I just don't understand.
Or
It
what-
says it's ground-based solar array is what it's called.
That is what, I believe what we're proposing.
And 69% of the parcel has limited soils for this type.
So I've seen commentary like that come up in NRIs before. My understanding is that after discretionary permitting, we have to do extensive testing for how the racking is going to be anchored into the ground. And then that has to be furnished for the building permit process. And that
Okay.
will make the project sufficient for the soil. It's definitely not my field of expertise.
Okay, it just, it seemed to jump out at me as this was something different than perhaps what we were using, as in, it's a fixed something, or, so, okay, that's fine, I just wanted
Mary,
to know.
if I may, you say ground-based versus something on a roof, is that why it's called ground-based?
I believe so. I think that the alternative would be roof mounted or some other, maybe.
The way it was listed, and I took it out and wrote it down because it was within a bunch of others, it said ground-based solar array. And that 69.9% of this parcel has limited soils for this type.
That is referring to this type of project.
Okay,
But I think what I would view that as instructive, as kind of like a heads up, that there are different types of
equipment,
poles, equipment used for racking.
okay.
And some of them require them to be screwed into the ground. So I think that point is, to follow up on what Gloria said, relates to making sure that the appropriate equipment is selected, and this will be covered during the building permit phase,
Okay.
so that the poles don't fall over when you put them in the ground. I think that is what, this is why that reference is there.
So, because we're looking at this and we're looking at the whole schlemiel here, to see this as ground-based solar is something that I'm interested in, but it's something that somebody else is going to be taking care of further down the road.
Correct.
Thank you. And I got the cutout? I'm fine.
Okay. I have a few questions, sorry. First of all, I wanted to go back to the slide that has both projects on it. Can we look at that really quick? Oops.
Sorry, I have to come back up.
Sorry.
Thank you. Oh, perfect.
There's a substantial gap between those two projects. Is that by your own design, or is that ComEd's requirement to delineate them? There's a gap there.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. It's by our design.
Okay, if we're talking about avoiding a wetland and trying not to cut down trees, could you perhaps fill that gap and avoid those impacts?
The short answer would be no.
Okay.
Shall I go into further detail? Yes. So there is, at this stage of development, it's very possible that these two projects could be owned by different operators down the line. And for constructability, there has to be some space in between the two fences. So my understanding is that that is as close as they can be while still being able to be constructed.
So that you can mow between the two fences and keep the projects separate.
Indeed.
And that's like a financing purpose. I understand. Okay, that was my question there. As it relates to the landowner that is in the lower left portion of it, are they considered a participating or a non-participating landowner in your setback design?
Non-participating.
So it's more than 500 feet from their house?
We have the provided screening in between.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted, because there's a difference in the Public Act and in our ordinance between participating and non-participating, and your testimony seemed to, it was murky for me.
Sure.
I had a question about Cone Resnick. As you know, the LaSalle factors consider property values, but under Public Act, hold on, I have it up. 102.1123, we're not permitted to consider the LaSalle factors in evaluating a conditional use permit for this process, right?
Okay.
I mean, I think it depends on which judge you're talking to, but yeah, that's certainly one way to interpret the act, yes, for sure.
Provided that you've met all of the citing criteria, we're not considered to reject a project because we feel that the property values are adversely impacted.
Correct. And I would just add that, you know, in my experience with hearings such as this, the property value question often comes up, whether satisfying a standard is required or not.
I understand that it's not something that we're permitted to consider or base our decision upon, according to the state law.
Understand.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I just have two questions. So I just want to clarify the other project to the east, when that project was built, there was only so much room that ComEd could provide. And then after, on the grid and at that location, and then after that project was approved, then you said some other thing opened up, like maybe some other project didn't go through or whatever, and that's what opened up the ability for you to add the second project. Is that correct?
That and the landowner being interested in
Of course,
yes.
yes. But from the ComEd standpoint, you know, you needed that space on the grid from ComEd, and that opened up after that first project.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. And then my second question is regarding the community investment. You talked about in your slide, and I was looking through the narrative, I didn't see exactly how much money per project do you give, like, you know, you have community investment in different not-for-profits and that sort of thing. Explain to me how that works and how you find a partner, and how much money do you give back?
So it's not always the same. Typically, it's anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 in Illinois so far. That has been a ballpark that I can provide.
Total in the state?
Oh, per project.
Oh, per project,
Per
okay.
project. And then we typically ask our construction partners to also make a donation, to sort of match our donation. And then,
You do?
yes, we do.
So you ask the construction company to do the same?
Our partners.
Oh, your partners, okay.
And then in terms of finding organizations, we're always open to suggestions, but we're looking for nonprofits, you know, 501c3 nonprofits who have a good history of impact in the local community. As local as we can get, the better. So typically, if we can find an organization that matches with causes that we've donated to previously, that is very local to wherever the project's going to be, that's the best possible situation.
So that's a large amount of money for a not-for-profit for it to be used. And I think it is anyhow, you know, when you're starting out, so.
It's one of the best parts of the job.
I bet. Okay, so that's the only questions I had. Does Kim, do you have?
I just had one question about the access. I know you indicated that the utility poles and the driveway would be shifting about 10 feet to the south. Is it correct? There's an existing farm access there, correct? Have you spoken with McDOT about, is the other access going to have to be removed and then the new one put in, or are they aware that there's going to be a new access point?
They are aware.
Okay.
We're in an ongoing process with them right now about the new access.
Okay, and no concerns for them to switch it from the location it's currently at to where?
They have not expressed any concern.
Okay. All right, that was my only question.
Okay. Sir, from the public, do you have a question?
Oh, yeah, I got one.
Okay. All right, so I'll
So,
ask you to, first
yeah.
of all, you'll need to give your name and your
Randy
address.
Burkus, and I own the golf course.
Oh, and your address, where you live.
Where I live is 16N 931 Sleepy Hollow Road, West Dundee, Illinois.
Okay, so you can ask the petitioner any question you want regarding their testimony.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the board. Second of all, 35 years ago, you guys gave me the right to build this golf course, okay? It was wonderful. 35 years later, it's prosperous, between 50 and 150 rounds of golf a year.
You can make a statement later, but this time it's just to ask questions of the petitioner regarding their testimony.
How do we stop golf balls from breaking glass? You're way too close, okay? There's a tee box here, and there's a tee box here, I usually get about 300 to 400 golf balls returned to me from that site every year, from the neighbor who, I don't know if he sold his piece there or what. I want to know how we stop that and what the cost is when they break.
Would you like me to answer now, sir?
I would love it.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No.
The briefest answer is that the panels are constructed to withstand hail, environmental conditions, objects.
Didn't I just hear about in Texas, one just got crushed? It was like 2,000 acres.
You have to let her answer the question.
I can see where this is going.
Are you concerned about an expense to yourself?
Just answer the question.
Yeah, I'm absolutely, and solar panels that are in the front of 2 tee boxes facing south. You said there was no glare? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Can I have a brief moment to consult?
No, you just, he's asking questions. You
Yeah, can I
answer.
consult with you briefly?
Okay. Away from.
Yeah.
I'm stopping the timer.
So, sir, my response to your question is that the array will be constructed, like we're saying, during the building permit process. It has to be rated for extreme weather, including hail. The glass itself is quite strong.
Can we put that in writing?
Can I put in writing that it will be
That the
constructed?
glass won't break when the golf balls hit them?
I couldn't put that in writing.
You can do that in writing?
I could not, no.
Okay, so what you're saying is not true.
I object to that, his characterization of that her answers are answered. I mean, he doesn't get to tell her what she's.
I've been there for
how she's
35
answered.
I
years.
sustain. I mean, you asked the question, she's answering your question. So you have
Did
another
she answer?
question.
Sure. Did she answer the question about the glare?
Okay, you want to ask a question about?
I did already.
No, you made a
I
statement. You
said,
didn't ask the question.
what's the impact of the glare on my first tee and my second tee as they're pointing south? I want to know, have you reduced the value of my golf course now because you can't see the ball as it flies through the air?
I would be happy if you'd like to correspond after this meeting, if we could do a further glare study. I'm happy to do that.
Are you doing anything?
The panels don't face south, just to be clear.
Is that right?
I thought they were.
Yeah. They don't face south.
Okay.
They follow
Can
the
you,
sun.
can you verify that they're on a north-south axis and they go east to west? Would that be correct?
That's correct.
That's what I meant.
So they don't go south to
So-
north, they go east to west,
That's
correct?
correct.
They're on an angle.
That's correct.
That's right. So
So they do face south.
they do face south.
Yes.
And they're on a trajectory east to west.
But they face south. They're mostly facing up, is what I'm trying to say. They are slightly tilted south, but they aren't pointed in the direction of your golf course, to my knowledge, is what I'm trying to say. They're largely flat. But I'm happy to correspond with you after this to do an additional glare study or try to work with your concern.
I'm just wondering how you're going to stop those golf balls from going into that area. There's a lot of bad golfers out there, okay?
Okay, you've had your questions, you can make statement in a little bit. You'll have 3 minutes to make your statement, but your time is up for your questions.
Wow.
It almost seems like there needs to be a separate conversation between Turning Point and Mr. McDowell.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Then, I would pursue that if I were you.
Can I ask a follow-up question, please?
Sure.
Who would be financially responsible if you were to have damaged panels from golf course activity?
My understanding, Kyle, do you want to consult with me before I respond to this?
No, I mean, answer if you can. I mean, you're not a lawyer, you're not a legal expert. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have no experience with that actual case of who pays if a panel is damaged by a golf ball. I
believe, well, you know what, I'm just gonna say, I have no experience with that. I'm not gonna say it.
I can tell you what I think.
Please do.
As a person who lives off the fairway of a golf course in Springfield, and as a lawyer, I think that the golfers are responsible when they hit my house, hit my roof. If I ever catch them, I'm going after the golfer, not the golf course.
That's it. You don't know who they are.
Is that your?
Would there be a cause of action for the future owner of the solar farm to take against the adjoining landowner when the solar farm was built after the golf course, I guess? I mean, that's like a deep law school question, sorry, but like, this seems to be where we're getting at.
It is. I think, I don't know the answer to that. I think it's, as you said, it's probably a complicated one because I think the question would be, you certainly, I'll put it to you this way. From a zoning standpoint, when you engage in a new use on your property, or when you seek a zoning permit to engage in a new use, you come to the existing uses. So clearly, the owner of the property and the owner of the project has knowledge, actual knowledge, constructive knowledge, that there's a golf course operating to the south of the parcel.
So they're coming to the nuisance and it would.
Well, it's not, I'm not sure I don't want to call the golf course a nuisance because I don't believe it is a nuisance, but you're coming to the use, I would say it that way. Yeah.
Right, just sorry, legal term. Okay, that was all I had.
So I have a question then. How far would the nearest solar panel be from the golf course?
So the setback from the property line is 50 feet, and then we have that 30 feet of vegetative buffer, and then there is a little bit of space on either side, so I would approximate probably 100 feet.
And how tall is the landscape screening going to be then?
Just want to double check with the plan to make to see if that. I believe that they're 6 to 8 feet tall, at least.
At time of planting.
We don't specify at time of planting or not. The plan doesn't specify whether it's at time of planting or.
It's likely not.
And what was the type of landscaping that you had proposed?
They're staggered evergreens, which
And
are.
at maturity, you think that they would be 7 feet tall?
Yes.
And do you know how long that would take for them to become 7 feet tall?
Usually we anticipate between like 3 to 5 years. Can I ask a question before we move on?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Can I
hear.
ask staff a question before we move on?
Let's, we have staff give the report, then we'll ask questions.
Mary, if I may.
Do you have a question for the petitioner?
Yes. I take it a glare analysis was not conducted on the property to the south from looking at observation points in your submission.
I don't have the glare analysis in front of me, but I
that it?
believe that looks right. It's typically for buildings and for cars.
Right.
So for golfers, I don't believe it was conducted. I think you're probably right.
Is there a reason why there wouldn't be one for golf course?
I'm sorry,
It's just
could
not-
you speak up?
I'm sorry. I'm just asking the question of whether perhaps there's a reason why it wasn't conducted for the golf course, because you wouldn't anticipate, maybe because you wouldn't anticipate glare as a problem for the golf course.
That's correct.
Don't the panels have anti-glare properties in them?
They do. But even though it wasn't anticipated, I would still be happy to work with the property owner to the south to perform one.
Understood.
Does that answer your question, Mr.
It does.
Cook? Okay. At this time we'll take testimony from the staff. Ms. Shardo.
So the subject property is zoned A1 Agriculture District with the conditional use for the commercial solar facility. To the north is A1 agricultural zoning, and to the south is A1 with the conditional use for the golf course, as well as that A2 residence to the southwest. And to the west across Crystal Lake Road is E1 Estate District. The subject property is currently being used for agriculture. To the north is also agriculture, and to the east. To the south is the golf course, and to the west across Crystal Lake Road is used for single-family residential. The future land use designation for this property is estate, with the designation on the far east side of the property as open space. Already gone through that. I did go out to the site. The sign was on site there, and everything for the state and county regulations has been met. I do believe they've met all of the standards.
Okay, does anyone have questions for Kim?
I just have a quick question. The applicant said that the 100-foot buffer came from the county?
I'm not familiar with the stormwater management requirement based off of the type of wetland, but I do believe that there are different standards for the width of the buffer depending on the quality of the wetland, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. So you know, like the driving range fencing, we have a permitting process to allow that next to the, like between the two properties, they could figure it out and we would be able to permit that?
Potentially. So typically, non-privacy fencing is limited to 8 feet in height. So if it was going to increase, above 8 feet, we may need to look at a variance.
So we would see one of them?
Possibly.
Okay, that was all I was asking. That we have a process where if that needed to be implemented, it could be.
Potentially, yes.
And that was Ms. Beverly. Does anyone else have a question for staff? Okay, at this time, sir, from the public, you get 3 minutes to state whatever you want about this petition.
You basically heard what I had to say. I mean, I've been on the ground for 35 years.
I'm sorry, I need you to state your name and address again for the record.
Randy Workus, 16 and 931 Sleepy Hollow Road, West Dundee, Illinois. I've been on the property for 35 years. The floodplain, about twice a year, it comes up halfway. About 10 years ago, I had someone wanted to put homes in there. They did the work, and they said not a chance. About halfway through my property to the street is the only place that was good. I'm curious why there's no detention ponds. When I went for my permits, I had to make sure I caught all the water. Not, where's the area where, the runoff goes? I mean, there are panels, right? Whatever. I'm just, I got a lot in this, and I'm just, I don't think they did anything on the glare. And is it Debbie down there? I've had many, golf courses and driving ranges, and yes, ball netting. I got it in this county on Ekman Road. So they do permit for it, all right, to prevent the balls from going over. I really feel like if that picture was still up, those panels that are further to the east are way too close. They're gonna get slaughtered. There's balls all over down there. So that's all I really got to say. I just want you guys to know that there's another issue. Everything that was talked about was about the residential, but there's something else going on there too, which is many more people than a residential area. So I feel like they should be set back. There should be ball nets. I've got no problem with solar panels, but I just don't want to be responsible because we know what's going to happen. We know that this is just the way it is. People stink at golf.
No, it's called getting your money's worth.
And I'll tell you what, I think if you're ever gonna do a driving range and they put something out there to hit, I firmly believe that the people will turn and hit at them. Human nature, they're gonna wanna hear what it sounds like. All right, they're gonna wanna know.
Crunch.
And maybe they've had a beer or two, and hold my beer. Watch this. I'm just saying, I know human nature, and I don't want to get into it with these folks and say, oh, but I just wanted my voice to be that there's danger down there. And as far as the wetlands and stuff, I was told that you're not doing a thing with it, and that's when I got my zoning. They basically said,
Okay,
you're
so
gonna cut a nice detention
Your
pond and
time is
carry
up.
more of the water.
Your time is up.
Okay, well, I guess we're done here then.
Do you have a closing statement, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you once again for the opportunity for the hearing. Appreciate your time and effort. On behalf of the applicant, I'd like to say that the application materials, the exhibits submitted, and the testimony today has provided sufficient evidence demonstrating that the standards under the state siting law have been satisfied, as well as the standards under McHenry County's ordinance. Now, I understand the concerns about the golf course. I really understand them because I get a lot of golf balls in my yard, and I certainly agree with the gentleman that there are a lot of bad golfers out there. But the other thing that we have to consider here is that when someone buys a ticket to play a golf course, they don't get a license to spray balls on property that's not the golf course. That's trespassing. And I understand it happens a lot. Again, I particularly understand it. But that's the reality. I mean, I get the practical considerations, but that they're not allowed to hit balls into the neighboring property. It will probably happen, but I think that's something that, as was discussed earlier, the applicant has notice of and is aware that that is a possibility, particularly now that in light of this testimony. So I think that again, that the setting that aside, that the application materials demonstrate that all the standards have been met, and we respectfully request a recommendation for approval of a permit to the board. Thanks again for your time.
Okay, at this time, we'll close the hearing portion of this meeting, and we'll move on to the voting portion.
Real quick, before you read the conditions, did you want to incorporate the October 21st site plan as the official site plan in the conditions rather than the one that we had from previous?
I would love to.
So do you want to switch out that date when approving those conditions?
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
And so the new date is
October 21st.
Yeah, and that was certainly the intention by asking that it be submitted into S6. Thank you.
So up on the screen, you see we have 9 proposed conditions. If there's no objections from the board, we will accept those with the exception of amending number 2, that the site development shall be in substantial conformance with the site plan prepared by Kimley Horn dated October 21, 2025, which is attached. Is there any objection to me not reading those, and we accept those?
We do accept the objection.
So are there any other proposed conditions?
Like, just to clarify, condition agricultural fencing is okay?
Yes.
Okay, because we've always had to ask, but now we have as part of our conditions, I just want to reiterate that they understand that we are looking at agricultural
I
fencing.
think we're making that standard, so
Correct.
everybody just knows that.
This is so early, because they had one where it wasn't.
Okay. Are there any other proposed conditions?
To my madness.
Madam Chairman, I move acceptance of the conditions
Second.
as amended.
Donner, seconds.
Moved by Mr. Eldridge, second by Ms. Donner, to accept the proposed conditions. Is there any discussion? Then I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Yes.
Mr. Kernick?
Yes.
And I vote yes, the conditions are approved 7-0. At this time, I would entertain a motion for approval of this request.
I move acceptance of the petition subject to the conditions.
Is there a second?
Donner, second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, second by Ms. Donner. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, this is a proposal for a commercial solar farm on the east side of Crystal Lake Road. Very close to a previously approved one, just a bit further to the east, owned by the same landowner. This is adjacent to a golf course to the south, farmland to the north and east, and a unincorporated subdivision across the street to the west. It is an area immediately adjacent to another solar farm owned by the same landowner. It is in an area where there have been several solar farms. It's midway between the municipalities of Crystal Lake and McHenry. I believe that all of the standards have been met. I believe that this is an appropriate location for this. I do think that there was some confusion with in terms of definition and clarity on the wetland delineation, but I believe that with Mr. Kernick's close questioning that at least in my mind, has been straightened out. While I don't think it is an issue in my vote, I would suggest to the petitioner that something that struck home to me is the slightly tipsy golfer who aims at their array. I happen to have a swimming pool that is about 100 yards beyond a green on a golf course, a now abandoned golf course, but for 50 years, there were every weekend people who would aim at my swimming pool, and neighborhood children spent time diving for golf balls. So I think that is a realistic issue, and it might be in your best interest to put up some screening. But that I do not think has anything to do with zoning as such. For all of the foregoing, I am going to support the petition.
Ms. Gardner.
I agree with Mr. Eldridge. He stated it well. This does seem to be a good site. It's very close to where I live, so I actually go by it coming here twice weekly now. But it seems like an ideal place. It's pretty much away from everything. However, having said that, I think that Turning Point needs to make a little bit more effort in outreach. I think that you actually need to go door to door and talk to people. And I know that's a lot of effort, it's a lot of work, but we've seen the companies that do that have much better results. This doesn't have any residences per se around it, except for the one house that is friends with the owner of the property, which doesn't count. Especially in areas where you're planning solar and you want to, and there's residential around there, it's really a good idea to talk to people face to face, let them know what you're planning, answer their questions up front. This whole golf course thing could have been settled up front, and it probably should have been. I mean, it took up a lot of time here for no good reason. But anyway, I'm in favor, so.
Mr. Schnabel.
Yeah, I underline everything that's just been said, and also the added benefit, we're not affecting anybody by siting another solar farm here, as opposed to putting one 3 blocks away near a residential area. So
Right.
that makes me even more in favor of this petition.
Ms. Beverly.
I agree with what's been said. This does meet the standards of the Public Act and our UDO. I would encourage that as an asset management, you look into better screening along the golf course, but that's up to you.
Ms. Donner?
I don't play golf. I don't know, but when he says you've got a tee here and a tee here, that tells me you're going that way and not into your array. I don't know. But I have been at not Turner, what's the one here in Woodstock that's not, what's Bull Valley Country Club, with a friend who had a house there, and occasionally we'd find one in the gutter, right off of, the fairway. That word I know. Okay, so I don't play golf, but I am going to vote in favor.
Mr. Kernan?
I don't hit a draw, and I adjusted my grip, and I've got my slice under control. The only thing I would add is, while there may be, and it appears there will be some impact on the wetland number 2, our ordinance says that the development shall be situated so as to minimize impact on the wetland. And this wetland number 2 is pretty small, 0.3 of an acre. It's in a stream, as I understand it, so I think that all of the requirements of our ordinance have been satisfied. So I am in favor, I should add.
And I agree, and I'm very familiar with a farmed wetland because I was a farmer my whole life, and I know sometimes there's a little bit of water and you farm through it, and that's how it goes. It's different than a jurisdictional wetland, I understand that. So I have no problem with how the arrays are put in the field, and I think the standards have been met both for the state level and our county level. So I'm in favor of the request, so I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gartner?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Aye.
Mr. Kernick?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes, so this will go to the county board with a 7-0 vote approving the request. This time our hearing is closed. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I have a question.
I can play miniature golf. I had a whole set of handmade clubs. That's okay, because I've done that. I just never, I walked a course.
My question is,
Between them to put up.
the college, the community college.
Yeah, right.
Have you worked with the community college at all
Sorry.
as a community partner? And
I have not personally.
You
I'm
have
not
not.
aware where.
Okay, because we looked at energy last week, and they worked with one community college, Illinois Central
Okay, we'll
College.
see everybody in a week.
I'm interested in our college. I want the money. Sure. So I'm wondering if you can see if you do, like if it's for scholarships.